Hello and welcome. I'm Regina, your host and mindset coach. This is the Moms Who Achieve podcast, where we discuss motherhood, mindset, money, and everything in between to equip first-generation change makers with the tools they need to create the lives they want and deserve by managing their minds and taking massive action. I am super ecstatic that you're here, and I'm hopeful that with an open mind, you'll leave with exactly what you came for. Let's go. Hey, so happy Nurses Week. If you didn't know, now you know that I am a nurse. I'm pretty sure I have mentioned that on this podcast before. I am celebrating my 10th year this year, and I have a confession. So, a few years ago, when I decided that nursing is not where I wanted to end my career, as in, most, if not all, the nurses I know, they are nurses and they are nurses, in the nursing field until they die. And build systems and those that do research. So they're the ones that help come up with the numbers of, cases and these specific illnesses and different things like that. There are nurses who are caseworkers. So they work on the case of a patient, like the overall plan of the patient, but they don't directly take care of them. There are so many different kinds of nurses. As a matter of fact, I did a little research and I found that there's approximately 96 different specialties in nursing. With that being said, I still believe that nursing is one of the most smartest avenues to go into if you're looking for a career that you won't ever have to worry about finding a job in. And something that I don't think was a thing, or it was a very small thing back when I first started nursing, you can even be a nurse coach. There are nurses who have taken their degree and they have created their own health and wellness business, working with patients directly themselves by being a coach or coaching nurses themselves. So the confession for me comes in where a few years ago when I decided that I didn't want to be a nurse, like working as a nurse at the bedside or with patients or in the nursing, community as a large, and I want to do maybe something completely different. I didn't really tell people that I was a nurse. Like, I guess in my mind, like that's who I was. I'm moving into something different. So I didn't really talk about it too much. And people were super surprised, like, oh, you're a nurse, when I start moving into the coaching world. But I've learned that my 10 years of experience plus nursing school has molded me into the person I am today. There is so many assets that I have and skills that I have mastered by way of being a nurse. That is for a future episode. But in celebration of Nursing Week, I wanted to drop several different mini episodes about nursing, nurses, our world, from the light of nurses and what we want to have discussed, what we feel like should be talked about more, and maybe some things from people who are outside of nursing, their perspective or what they'd like to know more of. So hopefully we can have some fun. And honestly, I just threw this shit up in my head, so decided to just do it, and I'm gonna let it flow and go with it. And so my second and hopefully last confession of this episode is that I really never put much weight on nursing week or nurses week. And I was thinking about why, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm just like commercialism and, all these buying these things and doing these, like almost like how I may think of like Valentine's Day or different things. But the more I have really just recognized what my nursing career has done for me physically, what it has done for me mentally, communication skills and different things like that, more grateful I am for my nursing background. And the more grateful I am that there is a week for us, that we are celebrated, because being a nurse is hard, y'all. Like, if you didn't know, people know now because of COVID and what, nurses had to deal with. And I'll share my personal story about that as well. But before then, like, nursing has always been a very difficult field on your body, on your mind, on your spirit. Like, we give and we have to give everything of us to people. We are, especially at the bedside, taking care of people directly. And these are human beings who have their own experiences. They have their families, all kinds of things. So the more I recognize what my nursing career has done for me, the more I am thankful that there is a week to celebrate us. And I decided to start these series. It's just a flow, y'all. I just like decided to do it. I'm doing it. We'll see how it flows. I hope you enjoy it, whether you're a nurse or you're not. Because even if you're not a nurse, you either will come into one at one point, and I'm sure same for your family. So take that into account when you're thinking about nurses, because just like police officers, right? Like at some given point in time, you're going to need one. So I figured, why not kick it off with a little history about nursing? And y'all, when I was doing this research, I'm just going to say, like the early 1900s up until like 1980s, it is sketchy. I am like I'm looking around, I'm reading this and reading that. Oh, this was the first person that said, let's do it. And then this person. So take what I'm saying here with a very much grain of salt. Just know that there were some people that really cared about nurses, and they said we need to be celebrated. And I'm not sure who did what first, but I'll give you guys a few ideas. So the most furthest back that I found was that the history of Nurses Day, it could be tracked back to 1953. There was a woman, Dorothy Sutherland, of the U.S. Department of Health, Education, and Welfare. She sent a proposal to President Eisenhower at the time to proclaim a Nurses Day that was going to be in October the following year. For whatever reason, that never made it. But supposedly, the first National Nurses Week was observed from October 11th through the 16th in 1954, which marked the 100th anniversary of Florence Nightingale's mission to Crimea. Now, I had never heard of the Crimean War, so looked that up, and that was the war between Russia, which they lost, I believe, against France, the United Kingdom. I didn't see the US anywhere in there, which I was super surprised. So, if you're not a nurse, you're wondering who is Florence Nightingale, and I believe every nurse probably knows who this is because, at least for me, we had some kind of basic research around her in nursing school. Florence Nightingale was born May 12th in 1820. She passed August 13th in 1910. She is who is considered the founder of modern nursing. And what I read about the Crimean War was that she went over there with lots of other volunteer nurses and saw like the conditions in which they were providing care to the wounded soldiers, and it was like a nasty situation. Like things were dirty, no one was being cared for correctly. They probably was getting even more sick. So advocated for better conditions for these soldiers through famous magazines, and there was a whole big thing. But in and all, I didn't know that that's where her career or where she first was famous at. But Florence Nightingale is like the god of nursing. She shaped it. Much respect to her. And so she's a very important aspect when you're thinking of nursing. So, as far as when we actually got this holiday, that's where it gets a little sketchy. In 74, President Nixon proclaimed National Nursing Week. And I believe in 81, in Mexico, they also declared a National Recognition Day for Nursing, which started May 6th. And eventually, this was promoted by the ANA Board, which is the American Nursing Association, and in 1982 with Congress. And they passed like this official May 6th to be the National Recognition Day for Nurses. Well, in that March, I believe in 1982, President Reagan signed a proclamation that established it as a day of recognition. So I believe like this is the official, right? So it seems like this had been talked about forever, and then it finally was made official in 1982 by Ronald Reagan. And then in the 1990s, the ANA board decided to make it a week-long celebration, having it end on the 12th, which is Florence Nightingale's birthday. And now it's a week-long celebration for over 4 million registered nurses. Yay! So there's a little background of nursing. I'll see you guys tomorrow to talk about something else. Enjoy your Nurses Week, and please tell a nurse thank you. You appreciate them. Maybe write a letter to someone. Do something, a text, something, letting them know that we are great, we're awesome, because we are.